everybody. I'm Deanna Minick, and welcome to our Innovia's discussion panel about making the move to Business Central SaaS. We understand it is a big topic for a lot of you, and we are here to talk through some of the bigger questions we get from our customers regarding that move to the cloud and more specifically to a SaaS model. Again, I'm Deanna Minick, and I'm a project manager at Innovia. I lead one of the delivery teams. My background is more of project management on the user side. So I've done industrial and operations project management. But in the last 3 years, I have been managing Business Central and NAV implementations. And so I'm happy to be on this panel, and I'd like to introduce the rest of the team here. Maybe if I call your name, guys, if you could let me know who you are and what you do at Innovia and what got you into the NAV BC world. So Gino, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Thanks, Deanna. Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to sit with us today and chat. My name's Gino Pack. I am the Director of Project Teams here at Innovia Consulting. I help lead and grow our project teams here on the Innovia side to deliver Business Central, ERP, and Microsoft solutions to our customers. And I'm excited to be here. I've been with Innovia for a little over or a little close to 3 years now, and I come from the IT management space. And prior to joining Innovia, I was at a eyewear distributor for 10 years, and that company used NAV as their ERP system. They used NAV back from the early versions that ran on a native database instead of on SQL Server. So being a part of that team, I was able to learn how to use NAV and see it through its various iterations. And I fell in love with the software. I fell in love with the ERP world. And when the opportunity came up for me to join the partner space, I took the jump over and became a project manager here at Innovia, and I get to work with a bunch of awesome consultants and a bunch of knowledgeable professionals that I don't think I would have gotten to at the end user side. So it's exciting to be here.
Thank you, Gino. So Will, could you go next?
Yep, sure. Thank you. Hi, my name is Will Mercado. I am actually I'm an application consultant here at Innovia. I've been with Innovia coming up on a year now, but I've been working with Dynamics NAV Business Central for 17 years. Mainly, working on the application side with the financials, distribution, setting up warehouse, and those kind of things. Working with Business Central for the past couple years, a little bit more heavily involved on that. As far as what brought me into this world is actually, I mean, it's my first thing that I did out of college. I started working with a partner as the office manager. That was my first experience with NAV version, like Gino said, way back 2.6, and I was the office manager. That was my first experience, and then I was sent to Atlanta to get some training, and I've been doing consulting ever since.
That's awesome. So many different paths. Brianna, would you like to let us know about your experience and path to BC?
Okay, yes. My name is Breon Jennings. I am an application consultant here at Innovia. And it's funny, talk to people in the ERP world, and they never really knew that they were coming to this path. Well, maybe Will as the exception, but a lot of people were like, we were doing something else. For me, I came from the school district. I was working with the school district for 8 years prior to, and I needed change. I enjoyed working with children in that environment, but always had this interest in business and understanding processes. So I went back to school and been doing Business Central for 6 years at this point. Found a real interest in Business Central, looked at other ERP systems, and my heart just gravitated to Microsoft Dynamics, just from usability to familiarity with the system, and it felt right, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Great. So, like I said earlier, we are going to answer a few questions that we get asked a lot. So maybe Will, you could take the first one here and kind of talk about what would you say is the biggest difference between the on-premise deployment of Business Central and the SaaS version deployment?
Okay. Well, I mean, some of the basic differences is obviously there's no need for well, it's all hosted, right? So you don't have the need for the servers on premise. You don't have to own your own servers where you're hosting the application. You don't need to have a big IT team that will be responsible for managing those servers or managing the software updates and those kind of things. Another thing that in my personal experience, especially recently, is the ease of managing the users. Back going a little bit further back, the whole thing with user licenses and assigning those user licenses, you always had to go back and communicate to Microsoft and send, these emails or forms and like requesting, can we add this user and can we change this user and those things. Now it's much easier, just as as time has gone on, but also with the way uh, users are managed on the SaaS. It's just I find it to be a lot easier, um, you know, to assign those licenses, to even move them from one user to another user. It's just a lot clearer, a lot easier to do. I think the customers also have that experience as well, because now they don't have to, once they get comfortable with it, they don't have to come to us to make some of those changes. They can do it themselves.
Awesome. Gino or Brianna, do you have anything to add to that?
I have one thing I want to add in, and this one's a big one in my opinion, and we'll get to talking about it here in a little later in the session, but it's the integration into the Microsoft stack. Well, Microsoft has this entire ecosystem that they call Microsoft 365, and it's just a entire stack of their hosted applications, anything from email to Office to other ERP offerings that Microsoft has, and even towards automation platforms. I mean, it's with having Business Central in as part of that ecosystem, it allows you to integrate into the entire Microsoft stack a lot easier instead of having to build custom integrations and to make systems that don't natively talk to each other. So that's, I think, is a pretty big piece of the SaaS environment that you just don't get when you're on-prem.
Yeah, that's great. So Brianna, unless you have anything to add, I'll move on.
I'll actually going to what Gino said about the stack. It's one of those things that users don't think about, but it's the support aspect of it. You're not looking and reaching out with support with multiple places. You have support with one central location. So it makes life a little easier for the end user as well. We know this location we go to, we don't have to go to different places. We don't have to reach out to different support teams. It's right here, one location, all together.
Yeah, that's so true. So Gino, maybe you can talk about something that you've seen interesting that a client was able to do with SaaS that they maybe couldn't do on-prem, either during the implementation project or post go live. Do you have any interesting stories there?
I do. I have one that's really cool that I've literally never seen in the 10 or the 13 years that I've now been doing this. It's so I work with one customer that has a large number of companies in their database, and they wanted an easier way to create documents in their environment, and they use Salesforce as a CRM system, and they manage a ton of different assets, and they came to us with a challenge of okay, what if we can just click a button in Salesforce and Business Central will open and create a new purchase order and fill in the entire header of a purchase order, and the only thing that the asset manager has to do is enter the lines. Well, with Business Central SaaS, we were able to do that utilizing the APIs that are now available in Business Central SaaS. There's no um, having to work with an internal IT department to make sure you're not exposing too much to go through your firewall. There's no need to worry. There's need to worry about security, but there's no need to worry about tough authentication methods or anything like that. We were able to build using Business Central APIs the ability for the customer to click a button that says create purchase order in Salesforce, open up Business Central, create the new purchase order with the vendor information in the header already. They just literally needed to start entering the lines. It was a very, very, very cool challenge and a very cool opportunity that we would just be way more expensive and a larger investment than the efficiency would provide in an on-premise environment.
Yeah, that's amazing. Those wins are priceless when you're doing an implementation. So that's incredible. One thing that I've noticed too in implementing is that when they're in SaaS, they can go on App Stores and download free versions of different ISVs, and gives them the chance during an implementation, or if they're looking at, adding a functionality, to check it out, and use it a little bit, and we can work with them to use it. And then if they want, if they decide that will fit the bill, then we can license them very quickly. That licensing efficiency it makes a project cadence really smooth when you get to those critical times where every day counts. So that's one thing as a project manager that I've enjoyed with my SaaS deployments. What about you, Will or Breon? Do you have a good story here? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me again, on the more very recently is I have been working some SaaS implementations, and like you mentioned, Deanna, the use of these third-party apps. In my prior experience before, with on-prem, um, installing these other applications, it could be difficult, right? It almost always involved a developer, almost always involves some sort of, like Gino mentioned, like these changes on the server and making sure that things were available and ports open and things like that. I'm not a very technical person, but I do, I've had this experience. And um with a recent third party application that I've had to implement, the ease of implementing it, being like you said, installing, just downloading the application makes it a lot easier. Something that I recently worked with, I hadn't worked with in the past, is this application called Print Node, which just makes the users customers printers available to you, right? So there's nothing about like sharing it on the main server. It's as long, well, they do have to be shared, but you don't have to involve too many IT people and all that. As long as some of those things are already in place, which most of the time, they already are. At least with this print note application, you prop it in, and there it is. There are all the printers available to the people, and then you can print to them from scan guns, from anywhere. You don't have to be in the user's network, right, to do it. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's not something that I've seen with on-prem.
Then you have a good point there, Will. You made an excellent point about not requiring to be inside the user's network. When you think about the day and age that we've been in with COVID-19, I mean, it's companies that have never had the thought of doing remote work were suddenly having to do remote work. And when you're in a SaaS product, the ERP is wherever you are at that point. So if you needed to be in a remote facility working, or working from your house, and you've never had to work from your house before, there's no need to sign in with VPNs. There's none of this tough authentication methods, as I mentioned before. It just, you're able to get to your work where you need to get it done. And it provides that type of flexibility where it puts a lot more stress on your internal IT teams. Prior to, with being on-prem.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. Brianna, any interesting, implementations that you've had where you really saw them do something that you saw for the first time and said, wow, that was pretty slick, pretty easy?
Well, I'm pretty lucky. I get to work with Gino a lot. So I've experienced what the example he gave. I experienced a little bit of that. I was on the other end of it, but I saw the enjoyment from the customer side, which is pretty cool, as you know mentioned. And I also want to just go back to something he said about the VPNs and that part of it. It's something that's really, really nice to be able to help support them, help do things without jump through all these hoops. I mean, from our perspective and our end, we're working with multiple customers at a time. I mean, for supporting you, and we could be supporting 5, 10, 15 different customers throughout a month. And navigating through different VPNs and things of that nature, I mean, it becomes a headache, right? From us, quite frankly. Um, but having that SaaS, that one location, you as the customer gain the benefit because we're able to help you faster. We're able to get the information quickly, be able to troubleshoot faster, not have to jump through some of the hoops that we would usually have to just because of that knowledge base, just be able to get to your data fast. And I mean, it's awesome when I'm able to say, okay, it's a SaaS customer, jump on and take care of things.
So, Brian, that's actually a perfect segue into our next question. So maybe since you're in the hot seat, you can take it. But having that ability to make quick decisions is really important in implementation, but it's also important in your business, right? So maybe we could talk about how Business Central fits into that Microsoft stack and allows these types of efficiencies with other products, like, for instance, Power BI.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, Deanna. I know you guys as are watching this have heard us talk about Stack and different things about support or getting data or good experiences from the customer, and that all works well with this, right? I mean, just imagine being able to create your reports off of because you have Stack and be able to export to Excel quickly, right? We're talking about change management. We're talking about comfort of end users. They're able to see something they're familiar with, very extremely familiar with, very usable, limiting that change management, helping them understand what's going on. So then we go to the fact that they're able to use usable tools that they're familiar with and be able to get dashboards and data very fast. There's less integration points that you have to worry about. They're going to work seamlessly. You have opportunity to touch different things, as you talked about, Deanna, getting different ISV information, sampling things and growing through it. It works seamlessly together, right? And that is so important when you have users that have the ability to understand what's going on. You take away that difficulty so they can actually do their job, right? And I think that's so important as a company.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some companies' minutes are what what it's all about. I mean, if you have a company that you have to adjust pricing quickly, et cetera, having those dashboards at your fingertips, it can mean huge amounts of profit at the end of the year. It all adds up to the bottom line. Great. Gino, do you have anything to add to what Brianna was saying?
Yeah, for sure. If you just realize over the last couple of releases that Microsoft did to Business Central, specifically the SaaS product, Microsoft is investing heavily in this cloud stack that they have here, and it's encompassing almost everything under that Microsoft 365 umbrella. You've got your Microsoft Office applications, you've got Exchange in the cloud, you've got the Power Apps suite, you even have your CRM or Microsoft or Dynamics 365 applications for sales, operations, customer voice, etc. And over these last couple of releases with Business Central, Microsoft has been refining those integrations. I mean, if you look at what they're doing, they have a native integration with Teams now. They have more connectors available for things like the Common Data Service, where you can start sending data from Business Central to a data warehouse. And they have this simple connector built in with native table integrations for like customers and vendors and payment terms. And with Power Automate and using a built-in connector for your AP and PO approvals, and it's just Microsoft. I'd say I certainly see over the next number of releases, Microsoft is going to start integrating more heavily all of these different products together so they can sort of work uniformly across that Microsoft stack.
Yeah, that's so true. And add into there all the fun stuff like IoT and AI and mixed reality, and the sky's the limit here.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess here, I think it's a point to make, or maybe also as a question. I mean, I think users get all that. If we're talking about the Power Platform and using that for approvals, I mean, that's something that's readily available right off the bat, right? When you have, when you get the SaaS version.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, Microsoft includes in your Business Central license a license to Power Automate. So you can actually start utilizing some of the Power Platform with your Business Central license that you have already. It's really cool.
And it's funny that you went there, Gino. Something you said about the Power Automate. I don't know if you remember, we were working together and I was prepping for a webinar I was doing. And I'm so used to, again, Nav. We all came from Nav world, going to that part of that workflows and making those standard template ones. When you're like, wait a minute, you have this world of Power Automate that's going to open up the door. No longer you have to sit there and take just these little things. You have more control. You can expand that, and you don't have to look so small. You can now look at integrating everything together.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it, I mean, just think about it, and you can do it all because it's a low code or no code methodology of programming. So something that you would need a developer for in Nav, you can utilize the Power Platform, Power Automate to build those workflows yourself. Just makes it much more efficient.
Yeah, yeah, and on top of it, like, I mean, at least for my purposes, I'm getting to work with it a little bit now too, starting to play with it, but the documentation that is available out there is also very good on those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. Yeah, so a couple of things too that maybe we didn't bring up, but they're worth noting is just the ability to have automatic updates to your SaaS platform, whether it's a security patch or a bug fix or just an update with some other kind of bells and whistles. These updates are very seamless. Innovia looks at those updates before they come out, and we have access to them, and they come through, and without doing anything and without paying anybody, everybody is updated. So that's one thing that my clients really like as well. It makes that sort of staying in the updated version pretty seamless.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, those of us who have been in the Nav and Business Central space for this was released when more than 3 years, we know that updates are cumbersome and updates are expensive, especially those of us on the customer side. It's a project to upgrade your ERP system. And Deanna, you hit the nail on the head. The updates just come, the tenant gets upgraded, and there's little to no disruption for your day-to-day business. There's no need to shut down your environment. There's no need to have large project teams focused on upgrading your environment. The updates just happen now. It's really cool.
Yeah, and between things that happen automatically and then things that, as I think Will mentioned earlier on, that we can teach you how to do, whether it's, change users or add users or things like that. We have the ability to make you a lot more self-sufficient. And that means less money spent on IT, which we do know will give you more money to spend on growing your business. And so, the examples there are endless of things that you can do on your own that you never could have before.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I want to toss another just nugget out there for us is that Innovia is investing heavily into the direction that Microsoft is going with this product, especially their Microsoft's cloud first model. And Innovia's, we're starting another project team on our end. We want to focus on the Power Platform. We want to focus on the entire Microsoft stack and not just Business Central. We have a lot of Business Central Nav experts, but we believe that Microsoft is expanding it just outside your ERP system. They're expanding it to an entire business process, an entire set of technologies that work with your business process. So I'm excited that Innovia is going to be going this direction and starting a Power Platform team to help businesses integrate things like the Dataverse and Power BI and Power Automate into their business workflows. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that is really one of the most exciting teams we have here at Innovia right now. Everyone's really excited about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and as well, we have a lot of material on our website. We have published an ebook. It's called 4 Practical Reasons to Upgrade to Business Central in the Cloud. Please feel free, it's free of charge to go on to our website, innovia.com, and download it. And you'll hear a lot of the same information and probably more in the ebook, but we also are available anytime to chat with you about any reservations you may have about moving to the cloud or what your future plans may hold for your ERP system. Just feel free to reach out to all of us here at Innovia. Well, thanks everybody. This was really helpful, and I had a good time.
Same here.
Guys.
Thank you for joining, everyone.
Always good talking to you guys, and I hope everyone enjoys the knowledge that you guys dropped.
Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.
All right, guys. Everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.